Hello and welcome to the Wolves Report. I'm Ryan Lester and thank you for joining us for episode 57. Tonight we're doing our best to analyse Wolves 2, Leeds United 4. Talk about the remaining 10 games of the season, take your questions. There's quite a few angry questions which you want to see, so create a bit of debate. And looking ahead to Saturday's enormous game away at Nottingham Forest. Of course, to guide me through the show, I have my two midfield generals, as we say. We have Director of Football, newly promoted, Chris Tyler, and of course, legendary midfielder and club captain, Mark Knock. We're all at Forest on Saturday. We're looking forward to that. I'll say looking forward to it, but yeah, we are really. Come on. Yes, we are. If worst case scenario, it'll be some good food on the way. Let's take us back a week and a half to a sad, angry afternoon at Molineux, where it ended at Wolves 2, Leeds 4. Nocky, your take on the afternoon v Leeds?
Where'd you start with this one then? We had a conversation on this podcast the week before. None of us claim to be experts. We all just enjoy our football. We like watching our team, but we all said we cannot let Leeds get a foothold in the first few minutes of the game. We're going to keep the ball. They only play one way. They're going to come at us. They're going to hit us down the flanks. They're going to use Nanto. 3 times before the goal, he got the ball across the face of goal. We never tracked him down. We never controlled the wide positions. We were absolutely all over the place. And our group chat's been quite lively since the game. I think I used the phrase, I thought it was a bottle job. But looking at it now, I think there's a bit of a mental block there for them. I don't think they've got what we need to get out of this fight at the minute. I just don't see that level of belief in what they're doing. I thought the first half was an absolute disaster. I know people have said that we played well, we had a go at them. We managed 1 shot on goal against the team who conceded 40-odd goals coming into that match. We didn't put them under any real pressure. Yeah, there was a couple of balls across the face of goal, but for me, I thought the first half was a disaster. The first goal to concede is good wing play, but we haven't clamped down on him. The second goal, how would you let a defender get free no one within 6 yards of him from a corner? How on earth does that ever happen at this level of football? So it's a pathetic goal. Again, the third, Johnny's just gone off without the ball and we've ended up 3-0 down. So yes, we had a bit of a go at it after then, but for me, it's easy to have a go when you're 3-0 down. You've got absolutely nothing to lose, and we rallied, and yeah, we got ourselves a goal. Johnny had an interesting afternoon, shall we say. He took his goal really well, but then he tries to kill Luke Ayling and bang, he's out the game. So I just thought it was a revolting performance in a game that we really should have been up for. We should have been at them, and it's all right playing well against your Liverpools and your Spurs when the pressure's off, but these are the games you need to win. And if you haven't got the bottle for this kind of game, you're going to put yourself in a hell of a position. We saw it against Bournemouth when we didn't get into the game and we lost that one. We've seen it against Leeds. You'd only won 1 game all season on the road. All right, it's at Liverpool, but they've still only won 1 game all season. I just thought it was a complete and total bottle job, in my opinion. And they've got to get over this hurdle now, because if they can't, and if we don't go to Forest and get something, then you can only see us ending up one place, really.
I mean, we've had a bit of time. Thank you, Nocky. We've had a bit of time to sort of digest it, think about it. I'm guessing we've probably simmered down a little, but although still quite mad. Tyler, what's your take? Why did it go so wrong?
Because we're crap. I for the life of me, I've been seeing for weeks people tweeting we'll be fine and we'll be fine, we'll be okay. On what basis? On what basis are we going to be fine? Because we can't keep a clean sheet and we can't score goals at the other end. And like Knocker said, there's only one way you go if that's where you're at. I thought it was. I agree with Knocky a bit. I don't know if it's a lack of bottle or fight qualities there. We know we've got some good players, but we stooped down to their level, didn't we? Knocker's right. We didn't play our own game. We weren't calm in the ball. We weren't patient. We weren't, we control the games when we play well, don't we? We keep the ball, we manipulate it. We almost stifle and almost bore the other teams to the point, but we just let Leeds go from the off. And like Knocker said, the goal was coming already after 6 minutes. And then it was just a shambles. But answer your question, Mark, we're not very good. We can talk about it till we're blue in the face. We're not a very good team. If you lose at home to Bournemouth and Leeds United, you're not a good team. I don't care what anyone says. And I agree with Knocker. It's great beating Liverpool and Spurs, but you swap them two to beat Bournemouth and Liverpool. Bournemouth, sorry. And we haven't. And I really worry about Saturday because Forest will come out the traps like they did in the cup game. They'll be buoyant, they'll be flying, they'll fancy beating us, and if we don't stand up to it, be over by half time, if you ask me.
Yeah, and you guys aren't alone. I know I'm probably over optimistic, and I always try, but that's just the way we are, and I guess that's the way it works. We've got Nocky as the mediator in the middle, you wanting to set everything on fire, me saying everything's amazing, and so the balance works well. But I mean, I've got to be honest.
Our midfield three, isn't it? To be honest.
Say again, sorry.
The better balance than our midfield three at the moment.
Well, we don't. Well, we've only got three to pick from. We still don't know our best three, but I mean, I'm going to put it out there. I don't think Wolves played badly the first half. I don't think it was a bad performance. I mean, you two. I'm happy to shoot. You
can't start the game like that.
No, I agree. It was a poor start, but for large spells of that game after they scored in that first half, Wolves didn't play bad. But it's
when's their keeper had to make a save?
Well, he hasn't. But I'm not saying we peppered them. I said I don't think we play bad at all. I don't think if that level of performance continues, teams aren't going to continue to have 100%. Bournemouth one shot goal.
Falling at home to Leeds, you know.
Look, I love you to pieces, but you're way off on this one, mate.
This is why we're here to talk.
We were pitiful in that first half. People will talk about we put balls across the face of goal. Put them in the back of the net, or I'm not interested. It's all right having these nice, pretty patterns of play. Teams like Bournemouth come and they score and they win. Leeds come and they score and they win. We can't keep saying, "Oh, we play nice football." It's like Tyler said.
No, I never said that. No, I said it wasn't a bad first half performance. Is what I'm saying. And if you're basing it solely on the scoreline, then you two are correct and I am wrong. But it's my opinion. I don't think this is why I've got mates and this is why I'm drinking on a Tuesday night, boys. This is here because of you two.
Wouldn't we be going in level or 1 or 2-0 up? That's a good performance. That's a good half, isn't it? Not going 1-0 down.
No, I agree. The scoreline isn't ideal, and it's a terrible start. I'm not going to pretend it's anything else but a poor start. But teams aren't going to continue to score every shot on target they have past us. It's just not going to happen. So yes, you shouldn't be letting 4 at home to Leeds. You shouldn't be losing at home to Bournemouth. But we did, and Wolves have only got themselves to blame. They must do better. Yes, the pretty spells in the middle. We want more productivity in the final third than we do attractive football. It's about winning games. I totally agree. However, I'm not going to sit here and slag us for that first half and say it was diabolical because that's not what I saw. Wolves weren't ruthless enough again, and that continues to happen. We've got no number 9s that score any goals. My point is, guys, what I'm trying to say is we won't continue to see halves of football where teams score every shot they have on target. It's statistically impossible. It's not going to happen. Now, they have got themselves to blame for losing those games. They've got to do better. But I'm not going to mark Wolves down as terrible. Tyler, over to you.
Yeah, I'm with Doc. I totally disagree.
That's fine. That's fine.
I mean, you say that, but we got lucky against Tottenham. They should have scored 4 or 5, and they didn't. We got lucky that day. So you say it's not going to happen, but it doesn't happen now. If you give the quality of the chances that we gave away, I know you're a big fan of XG, but the first goal, the guy should score it because it's a free shot goal from 8 yards.
It's a great finish.
The second one is a free header from 6 yards. The third one is a shot from 6 or 7 yards. We don't seem to get in those positions.
No, that's a great point. We don't.
In a Wolves winger like Nonto, have composure, beat his man, and put a good ball in the box for someone to run onto and finish. When did that last happen? It's such a simple goal in terms of football that we don't seem to do it. Podence is trying to bicycle kick one in the top corner and he just needs to nod it across goal and it's 1-1. They're the things Knock is on about. It's those key decisions where we're not good enough. And if we're going at 1-1, who knows? Yeah, might win the game. You know, who knows? But we don't get those key decisions right hardly ever of the time, I don't think. And that is a concern. And when you're only creating 1 or 2 chances, the pressure's so big to score them because we don't create loads, you're up against it.
Yeah, I agree. Knocker, your take on again? I'm just finishing off on what we're saying. Far away, mate.
Yeah, I completely respect your opinion and I understand what you're saying. But we put far too much stock in our players. We look at our players and we think they're better than they are. We think they're quality players. Let's be completely honest. Nonto's been in the league for what, 7 months? He's the player now that we thought Neto was going to be. He's miles ahead of Neto and he's just got into the league. We don't have players who can finish. We don't have players who are of the top quality that we think they are. they've come in with all this level of quality that we expect them to have, and none of them have got any better, I would argue. I don't think any of them are any better than when they came here. They've probably gone the other way. And yes, we created opportunities, but it means absolutely nothing if you don't put the ball in the back of the net. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again.
Absolutely.
Different results. We haven't been able to score goals for 3 years. We've not addressed it. We brought in a striker with one leg and wonder why he got injured. We had the whole of the Christmas window in January to try and get this rectified. Didn't bring in a centre forward, but brought in a £40 million winger who, yeah, he's a decent player, but if he scores 5 goals total for Wolves the rest of this season, he's had a fantastic return based on what his goal scoring average is. So we knew where the issues were. We didn't address them, and we've put ourselves in this position. We can create all the nice, pretty balls into the box that we want, and the nice opportunities and the bicycle kicks, as Chris said, from Prudence. You don't put the ball in the back of the net, it's completely irrelevant. Leeds peppered us for the first 3 minutes, bang, they're a goal up. Bournemouth didn't do a great deal against us, but created one opportunity, got themselves into attacking position, bang, they've scored it. It's not a fluke that we keep losing these football matches. We're losing them because we don't have the quality in the final third, and we don't have the intelligence to open teams up. We're playing players out of position. We're playing Neves, in my opinion, far too deep. And we've got a lot of players who are in a bad run of form at the same time. I mean, Lamina looked brilliant when he came. Last couple of games, he's been poor. I think it's the same with Craig Dawson. He was awesome when he came in. Again, now he looks like a bang average centre-half. We've got a lot of players out of form, and the confidence isn't there, the belief isn't there. And most importantly for me, the quality is not there in this team that we need to get ourselves out of this dogfight.
Quick question, just in hindsight's a wonderful thing. If we start that game with the amount of ball we had with Kuna and Sarabia, do you think the outcome is different?
No.
Bearing in mind, Sarabia has scored and Kuna has scored. If them guys start the game, if they get in the positions that Potenzi's got in, you're telling me there's not more goal chance there?
Based on the amount of goals we scored, no. But I'll ask you this: if Chris Wood is in that position, is it a different story? Is there a natural centre half, a natural striker in that position? Is it a different story then? Because we've had opportunities to bring these players in, and yet it's not. You can't just focus on the number 9 because we don't get the ball into those attacking positions, do we? But that's your focal point, and we haven't addressed that. And Oliver Owl to pieces, but we all know he's not the player we need him to be, and the players don't seem to have that confidence in him. He had one big chance against Leeds and he fluffed it. If we have, Chris Wood isn't a long-term answer for us, we all know that. But if we have a natural centre forward in that position, Chris Wood, the lad from Coventry that we've spoken about, those players were out there who have the opportunities and the ability to score goals for us. If one of those in the position, I think you're absolutely right. But history will tell us with Sarabia and Cunha at this moment in time in their Wolves' careers, no, they wouldn't have scored the goals. They've got 2 goals between them so far.
Well, that's more than Neto and Podence have got, but that was the point. That's the point I was trying to make. Listen, guys, I'm here to create debate, and it's good to disagree because it's healthy listening for everybody, and we're all learning and going up and down. Some great comments coming in before. You're listening to and watching episode 57 of the Wolves Report with club captain Mark Knock, director of football Chris Tyler, and sad Ryan Lester, whose friends have driven himself to drink on a Tuesday night because they've just given him a kick on his own podcast. Anyway, in terms of, I mean, we talk about bottle and fight. There's a few. Chris Cooper mentions here. Chris Cooper, Leeds, I'm sorry to say, wanted it more. End of. Yeah. Fair point. They did have that bit of more of snot about them, don't they? I mean, Leeds are horrible to play against. They made it horrible. They got in our faces. Fortune favours the brave. They were brave earlier on. They took it, and then it was theirs to hold on to, wasn't it? So yeah, I agree with that, Chris. Still with us, says fire is amazing. I'm guessing he's talking about you two boys exploding and giving me a kick in early doors, and that's fine.
I want some of what he's been on.
Fire by the look of it. I'm not going to pull any positive from the game because I can't take any more of a shoeing on a Tuesday afternoon when I've got the whole week left. But we often talk about the tactics and the formation. We can't seem to settle on it. It's a bit too whiff. Why does it keep going wrong from the starting 11? Knocker.
I think it's because he doesn't know his best starting 11. I think that's the issue. How many games he's been here now? He's had a fair chunk of games to have found that starting 11. And yeah, there's been a couple of injuries and things, but he doesn't seem to settle on it. For me, I think we looked good when we're on a 4-2-3-1 and you bring the 2 central midfielders closer together. He doesn't seem to like that. He likes to go 4-3-3, and that means we have to push one of the midfielders out wide, and that's not helping us. I don't think he's settled on a fullback that he likes. Johnny's a little bit sporadic. He can sometimes be great for me. Ait-Nouri should be in that position. I think he offers us more there. I just think he can't find a balance or a system he likes. He's trying things that he thinks are going to get us goals, but we tried Cunha through the middle. That didn't work. We've tried him wide. Then he's walking around in a boot, so we're starting him from the bench. We just can't find a settled system. And I know we've had the conversation about Bottle, and does it come down to Bottle or does it come down to mentality? I don't know, but I think when you break down the performances we've had since he's been here, that Southampton performance was completely unacceptable in the first half. Even before the red card, we only started playing well when there was nothing to lose. And I think that was the same with the Leeds game. We only started playing when there was nothing to lose. Liverpool, we were brilliant because there was nothing to lose from kickoff. So I think there's this mentality that when it's really necessary to win the game, we just don't seem to have that about us. We don't seem to have that ability to really take this moment, live it, and just really attack a team. And against Spurs, yeah, we were good, but we could have been 4-5 down at half time. But we hang on in there. We won the game when there was nothing to lose. But the Bournemouth game, the Leeds game, that's the games that are going to decide the future. And we just don't have the ability to just go out there, attack it, play our football, play our style of play. We know we're better than that, regardless of what all of us say about goals. We know we're a better team than we've seen in those matches, but we're not expressing ourselves and we're playing almost with the handbrake on again. We're just trying not to lose the game. You go into a game against Leeds and try not to lose it, you're probably going to lose it because you know how they're going to come at you. You have to.
Okay, can I just jump in with that? I think that can go now. In the Premier League, it's evolved and changed over the last 3 or 4 years from when Wolves first got promoted. I don't think you can tuck in against any team now. I don't think there's many teams in the Premier League now that tuck in. I think everyone has to have a go because you get found out. The days of being able to counter-attack in the Prem, for me, I mean, I can't really think. What teams now tuck in and try and nullify you unless you're Palace and you've lost 54 on the bounce?
Wolves.
Yeah.
But
You're right.
You said this to me, Rob, when we've been at games. Wolves on the front foot, aggressive, trying to win the football game, are a totally different side to Wolves, who, for whatever reason, are slow. Forest in the League Cup game, loads of changes. First half, dreadful. No pace, go a goal down, change the formation, put people in the right position, batter them. Probably should have been winning even when we weren't playing well, but we battered them. Like I said, Leeds chasing the game. When it went 3-2, I'm fully expecting us to at least get a draw. We were all over.
I mean, I don't know if I can blame Jimenez for that, but let's just talk about that a moment. When Adama, who again was fantastic when he came on, he's so confusing. I mean, I think he was unlucky to get subbed in the previous home game at half time. Or was it at Newcastle? He was unlucky to get subbed at half time. I thought he was someone that was.
How is he not starting at football matches?
I don't know. What? Go on, mate.
I just don't know how players seem to go out in the cold and then they're back in. Podence was out in the cold, not in the squad. Then he starts. Ait-Nouri was left out for tactical reasons. Bill probably starts Saturday. You know, Neto just comes in out the cold. Nocky's right. There's no pattern, and these are players that, without being a bit harsh, and they've been brilliant, but they've let us down the last 12, 18 months. I'm with you, Ryan. It's time to see Sarabia. It's time to see Cunha. It's time to see the new players play and get the minutes because they probably haven't got the baggage some of the older guys have got. And I'm with you. I think we probably would have been better off with them if they play. I don't want to see Neto and Podence for the rest of the season, if I'm brutally honest. Those two have to play, and I'm probably putting Adama with him. So I don't see why he's not playing week in, week out. I don't understand it.
No, I've mentioned this before, and I'm repeating myself probably for various podcasts now, but for me, the blueprint was Fulham away. Jimenez, Sarabia, Cunha. Until Cunha got in, before he got injured, Wolves looked like a really good team, and they were the better team against a team that's chasing European football. Nocky, is that the blueprint going forward?
Yeah, I would say so, but I just want to see some consistency. I want to see a settled team. I mean, Nuno was good at what he did because we just kept the same team. We kept the same 11 players. Everyone knew what the job was. Everyone knew what everybody else did. And it just gives you that solid feeling that you know where your partner's going to be, you know where the attackers are going to be. Just gives you a little bit more of a thought process. I like Cunha. I think from a wide position, he's useful. I think Jimenez starts for me. because I just think you need that focal point.
More a case because we don't have anybody else.
Well, because we don't have anyone else. I like Costa, but I think Jimenez there's been little flicks where you look at him and you think there's still something in there, and then from the wide positions, Sarabia, I'm still not 100% on him. I think the two starters for me from those three are definitely going to be Adama. It's definitely going to be Jimenez, and then at the moment, if I'm being honest, I know I agreed initially. I think Hwang plays because he just gives us that little bit of energy that the other players don't seem to have. So I'm almost with you, but I just still think there's a little bit more we could do. But whatever we put in that position, they have to be settled now. They need a run of games.
If Hwang comes in, then are we saying we're going to go to a 4-4-2, which is a good time to bring this comment in from my dad? Is it time to play two up front? Kuna missing a big man and our big man missing a partner. Wolves got the most important few months ahead for a very long time. Time to get some stability and for Wolves to field a regular 11 with much less disruption.
I think, well, I agree with him, yeah, but I'm not so sure that we will go 4-4-2. I think he'll stick with the 4-3-3 and maybe a 4-2-3-1 every now and then. But I would like to see Jimenez with someone alongside him. I'd like to see Cunha in the attacking area, but I just don't see him deviating now.
Tyler?
Yeah, I'm with Nocky. I think Jimenez has to play. I think Cunha has to play with him. I think Adama and Sarabia have to play. I'd be going more of a 4-2-3-1 myself between now and the end of the season and just trying to find a formula that works, to be honest. If it was me, that's what I'd be doing. And I might get shot down for it, but I'll bring Núñez into midfield alongside Neves. I just think there's too much of a good player in there, and I know we've not seen it. He's got to play football matches. No point having him on the bench.
Absolutely. I think what I'm gathering from that is I don't think the manager trusts him with his distribution to play as a two. And I think that's an issue. Now, I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but for me, the best we've seen from Matheus Núñez is when he plays as a two. When he collects the ball from deep and drives, he's drawing players into him. And then you've got Adama free, you've got Jimenez free, you've got Sarabia free. He draws players in and you can break and open a team. And you miss that from out wide. Now, he's good on the ball, but none of us can disagree that his distribution the last few months has badly let him down. I mean, he's not hid, he's kept going, and that's admirable. It is your job, but it is admirable. He's always come for it. But can you forgive poor distribution even if you're playing out of position?
To a point you can, yeah, as long as it's not hurting you. But I think if we play a two, I think Lamina plays because they want Neves in a more attacking area. If Lamina doesn't play, Neves ends up dropping deep almost as a third centre half, and you kind of losing what he offers you. So for me, if you play a two at this moment in time, based on what I've seen from both players, I think it's Lamina and Neves. I think the only way Núñez gets him without injuries or suspensions is if we play a three, because you're right, he doesn't trust him in a two. And from what we've seen, I'm not 100% I trust him in a two. I think there's a player there. There's clearly a very, very talented player there. But
this is a player. I think last year under Sporting, I'm pretty sure they won the league at Sporting. And someone can shoot me down if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Sporting got to the last 16 of like the Champions League last season when Man City slapped them. I might be wrong in that, and he was playing a two then. So I don't know what's got wrong, whether it's consistency. But as you going back to what you said earlier on, Tyler. Or Nocky, one of you said earlier on, in terms of Lamina's form has dropped off the last few games, particularly his distribution. So at the moment, he's a good player, but he's dipped off as well. So will the manager throw it up? I don't know. But let's just finish off on that game before we take some questions. And I know it's easy to say, but you know what? For as much as it wasn't good enough and you find yourself in a miserable position, you know what? Their heads didn't drop and they didn't give up. If they did, I'd be really worried. Granted, I know you guys give me some stick on the group chat. I am more worried than I was. But you know what? There's players there that aren't hiding. They're not giving up. They're still fighting and having a go. Now, that's the minimum you expect. But we've seen in previous Wolves teams when they all the signs of just rolling over. This Wolves team isn't going to roll over. They could be braver and start games on the front foot, which you mentioned earlier on, Tyler. That
3-0 down, Ryan.
I know. Exactly what. That's the definition of giving up, is being 3-0 down against that.
That's not giving. But we're at a point blank save from 3-3.
Yeah, but we're 3-0 down. It's like we said earlier.
Yeah, but that's not giving up though, is it? You can't if you're 3-0 down. Why is it?
Well, how do you end up
second and third goals, like Nocky said, I've seen better on a Sunday morning.
Yeah, the quality of the goals conceded from a defensive point of view was nothing short of pathetic. You're not going to get me disagreeing with you. I totally agree. But
Hillman isn't fighting to head that ball away. Johnny's not fighting to clear that ball.
Johnny tried to kill someone afterwards. So
no one's fighting to close Nonto down or to cut the cross out or to block Harrison. No one's doing any of that. I'm with Knocker totally. I don't see any fight there whatsoever.
I don't know. Well,
that side for me, that's not fighting. Yeah, we come back and we had a go because our tails were up. But as we said earlier, there's absolutely nothing to lose at that moment. Being 3-0 down, for me, that's an absolute surrender. Regardless of what happened after that, it's a complete and total surrender. And again, we've tried to blame the referee for it. You know, we've come to try to make excuses for not getting a penalty and for the fourth goal, rather than taking responsibility ourselves. I felt like we gave up. I didn't see any fight there. It's easy to play when you're 3 down, like we said before, when the game's dead.
But equally, when you're 3-0 down, it's easy to lose 5 or 6-0 if you totally give up. But equally, this is great debate, and it makes a group podcast, and that's why we're here to share, exchange, and debate. All good. While you're on that subject, that was my next thing to talk about. Regardless of whether it had made any difference, it's another penalty decision that sort of has infuriated the team, the fans. You've seen the replay. Now, my opinion is, Tyler, anywhere else on the pitch, he's given a free kick. Now, you know what? We could all say it's soft. I've seen Bruno Fernandes, Harry Kane. I've seen them players get those penalties every other week for the last few years in the Premier League. If a player is kicked if you kick the side of someone's foot anywhere else on the pitch, it's a free kick. So why isn't it a penalty?
Yeah, I'm with you. It's a nailed-on penalty. And the fourth goal...
Thank God we've agreed on something. I was dying now.
Nailed-on penalty. And the fourth goal, by the rules of association football, cannot be given. Whether or not a diamond didn't play to the whistle is relevant. You can't pull someone's shirt. It's a foul. So there are another 2 clangers. But on the point of fight and bottle, we show more fight and bottle on the sideline, arguing with referees, than we do on the pitch. And we've got to really get over this quickly because there's no sign of it changing. So we've got to get the victim card off our back, because Knocker's right. The referee doesn't score the goals for us or keep them out the other end. You know, we've got to get better than that. But I agree with you. Nailed-on penalty, and the fourth goal was never a goal, in my opinion.
Knocker, tell me why that penalty wasn't given.
I think it's soft. I'll put it in the category of you've seen them given. But I always try and judge these things by how I'd feel if it was at the other end. And I'll be furious if Leeds got a penalty for that. Yeah, I completely agree. You can slow it down. You can see this contact.
And that's right. And you know, Knocker, you are the honorary patron saint of reducers, and we love you for it. However, if you kick somebody before you kick the ball, it's a foul. Modern football, yes, it's not like football was when we were growing up, but it's a foul. If someone beats you to the ball and you get kicked, it's a foul. 100%. If that's anywhere else on the pitch and he's span, it's a free kick. Yeah. It just, you know, and I'm not going to make an excuse, because for large parts of the defending, Wolves stunk the place out defensively, and they've only got themselves to blame. So I'm not going to blame the referee. However, you have to talk about that, because it week in, week out, and I'm going to separate the referee in the game, because if you take your chances, you deserve to win the game. Leeds take that away. That officiating again is nothing short of scandalous. And Tyler's hit the nail on the head. It doesn't matter at all. You cannot grab someone's shirt and pull them back. It's that obvious a free kick. You know what? Adama should play to the whistle. But if someone is physically pulling you back anywhere on the pitch, that's a free kick, Knocker.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm not saying I don't think it was a penalty, but
it's your hard work tonight, man.
We saw a clanger against Newcastle. That was a clanger. This, for me, is one of them that can go either way. Even before VAR, this is a sort of decision that goes either way. So, yes, it probably was a penalty, but I would have been furious if that was given against us, in all honesty. And as for the Adama one, yeah, Tyler's right. You can't pull someone's shirt like that, but plays to the whistle. And yes, it's still a foul, but he still has the ball after that. He then loses possession. He has a couple of steps with the ball. he should just play on. There's no need to put himself in that position. He's a big, strong lad.
It doesn't matter how big and strong you are. If someone's pulling your shirt, it's a free kick. And
it is a free kick, but you don't stop. There's a couple of minutes left.
No, I agree.
Continue playing. What are you going to achieve by a free kick anyway? You're going to give them a chance to really get themselves into position and just try and wang one into the box rather than just collecting the ball, using your pace and try and get forward. There was no reason to stop. Yes, it's a foul, and I do think we're being punished for some of the comments that we've made about referees in the past.
100%.
He checks the monitor. If he's told to check the monitor, that decision should be reversed.
Tell me how, though, Tyler. Tell me how anybody sees a shirt pull and goes, "Now we're going to give that goal." I don't understand, because if, like, when all of us have played football at various levels and Sundays and five-a-side and done whatever we've done, if you pull someone's shirt at any level, it's a free kick. The opposition just accept it. It's a free kick.
Yeah.
For that not to be given, it was game over. You know what? Wolves might have had one more chance. They might not. We'll never know. But for that to be given as a goal is absolutely scandalous. You cannot put. So what are you telling me from now on now that you're allowed to kick people on the side of the foot? It's not a foul, and you're allowed to pull shirts. Honestly, and I know I joke and tweet about it a lot, but VAR checking club badge, it is absolutely outrageous. Some of the decisions are just, you know what? It's probably not going to affect the outcome, but you look at it in disbelief and think, how can that goal be given?
Yeah, it can't be, and it shouldn't be. And I can't explain how he's gone to the screen, seen it, and still given the goal. I think everyone was just waiting for it to be overturned in a free kick, and then he's given the goal. Oh. But he's almost set a precedent now, so is it okay to pull shirts? We'll see the next couple of games, won't we? Because it was like the one at Southampton, the made-up rule of 3 players. Totally made-up rule, wasn't it? And I think, and with the penalty, I agree with Knocker. You can argue for and against it. You can't on the shirt pull because it's a foul. It's a free kick. You can't argue with that one.
No, it's ridiculous. But again, and I think this is something, and I mentioned it before, that, Knocky, we need to almost stop feeling sorry for ourselves and get this to create a siege mentality, because it is becoming very clear. I'm not asking for favours, but Wolves are going to get nothing. We're going to have to earn every single point between now and the end of the season, those 10 games, whether we stay up or not, how many points, whether we lose 10, we draw 1, we win, whatever. Wolves are going to have to earn every single point, because, as one of you just said, it feels like Wolves are being punished and, boo-hoo Wolves. But it does feel that way. We, as fans and as players and as a club, need to get over that quickly. We're moaning about it now for therapy, to get it off our chest, and I'm sure people agreeing or disagreeing, but we can't rely on anybody but ourselves now. It's time for everybody to step up, Knocker.
Yeah, we have to. And you can see why we're aggrieved. I mean, I think there was a stat last year that we were the most affected team by VAR. I've seen nothing this season to think that's changed. We're probably even further ahead now in that sense. But some of the decisions are killing us. I mean, you look at the Núñez red card. The linesman knows that he hasn't stormed into him. He knows that. That never needs to get.
How can he give a red card when he can't see it?
Well, it's clearly that you can see clearly that it's not, and it's always going to get overturned. So the linesman could have dealt with that there and then, but for some reason he chose not to. Núñez gets sent off. So it's a catalogue of disasters at the moment, and yes, we have got to recover from it. We have got to accept that we're just not going to get the run of the green in these games. I mean, they say that it evens out over the course of a season, so we should have a cracking last 10 games, shouldn't we? So we'll see if that's true.
I mean, if Wolves could stay up and bank that credit, we'd probably have won every game till next February. So that'd be a nice start to the season. You are currently listening and watching to episode 57 of the Wolves Report with Mark Knott, Chris Tyler, and myself, Ryan Lester. We've been analysing the Leeds game, talking about the referee, talking about the dreadful defending, and now we're going to move on and take your questions. As always, the show is filmed live and recorded live. We take the questions from earlier in the week off my Twitter feed and also get some questions up via Facebook and YouTube, whichever you're watching on as well. This sort of merges into the remaining 10 games. Question from Richard Holmes, regular follower and contributor to the Wolves Report. Richard Holmes asks, can you and the lads say which 3 of the remaining 10 games we win to stay up? It's an absolute stinker, Richard, and I love Knocky this one. So just before we go out, boys, I'm going to read the games. Sit yourselves down, everybody.
I think we need 4 wins myself.
Okay. Well, let's call it 3 for now, because otherwise I'm not going to make the end of the night. Away to Forest, home to Chelsea, home to Brentford, away to Leicester, home to Palace, away to Brighton, home to Villa, away to Man United, home to Everton, and away to Arsenal. You know what? The more you look at it, the harder it gets. But equally, what I will say is Forest are currently in a worse position than Wolves. Leicester are currently in a worse position than Wolves. Everton currently in a worse position than Wolves. All those 3 teams are currently in a worse league position than Wolverhampton Wanderers. Nocky, got to win 3 games. Don't tell me you're going to win none of them. We might not win none of them, but what 3 are we targeting there?
Palace, Villa. You'd have to say Everton, but I think Everton will be safe by then.
You're not having us on Saturday, Nocky?
No. Oh, yeah, I'd love to, but no, I don't think so. I think
you heard it here first. Wolves are winning Saturday. I'm not worried. It's all good.
I don't think we stay up away from home. I think the home games are what make or break us now between the end of the season.
Tyler,
because the Bournemouth and Leeds would have been sound.
You're not wrong.
It's time for another sip of that, Tyler.
So what I see is that we're on 27 points. There's not one or two real inferior teams this season. So I think 38-40 could be a realistic target. So I've worked out to get to 40 points, we need 4 wins. Can't see us winning 4 out of the last game. So on the 3, I'd probably say Everton at home, I think we'll beat. After that, I'm struggling. I think Palace will hurt us in a way that Leeds did. I think they'll break and they've got pace. We'll probably win one that we're not expected to win, maybe a Chelsea or a Brentford. And we always do well against Villa, but I think they're superior to us at the moment. So, yeah, I'm struggling a bit, to be honest. Everton, Brentford and Villa, maybe.
I mean, it's a great question, Richard, but it's an absolute stinker because, I don't really like looking ahead. I like focusing on Saturday. But
with Saturday, we all feel totally different. We'll be on 30 points. We'll think we only need 2 more wins for sound. Lose Saturday, and you're real scratching around then, aren't you? You're scrapping there. But Saturday is massive. But I'm unfortunate with Knocker. I just don't, if we're anything like we were against Leeds, I just don't see it.
Yeah, I'm confident about Saturday. I think Wolves Forest won. And I'm feeling good about it. I've had some time to myself. I've been away from social media a little bit. I'm feeling good about Saturday. It's blind.
Probably phone have been quiet for a week or so.
It has, mate. I just stepped back a little bit. Leeds hurt, mate. I'm not going to lie. I hate losing football matches. We all hate losing, don't we? And it's ridiculous how football can make or break your week, your day, your weekend. I'm recovered now, though. I'm looking forward to going with you boys on Saturday. I know you boys are looking forward to mocking me some more in the car, and that's fine. Hopefully, we enjoy the football more than mocking Ryan Leicester on the journey there. So, for me, I think we win at Forest. And I know it's not gone great. I am with you, Nocky, than targeting the home games, but I actually think Wolves are better against teams that will come at Wolves the whole game, as opposed to teams that get a lead and then tuck in. I think Wolves struggle against teams that tuck in. So, who knows? Anyway, Richard, it's an absolute stinker of a question, but thank you for creating some debate on the Wolves report. Now, there's a few angry comments, and we'll go through these quickly. Now, Tyler, this one's got you written all over it. This is Mark Bromley. It's hard enough to stay up when you don't score goals and the powers that be seemingly want us down to. Now we're shipping daft goals to relegation is inevitable. Discuss. That one's yours, Tyler.
Yeah, I agree. If you've got a formula where you're not scoring goals and you're letting goals in, there's only one way you go in, and like I said, I got hammered for it. I said in August we're in a relegation battle, and I've been proved right. We've been in one all season. Knocking hit the nail on the head, and we've talked about it before. I just don't think the players are as good as people think they are. People rave about Pedro Neto. I could have played right wing against Leeds and do what he did. I'll happily get the ball, turn back, and pass it 10 yards back. He needs
just jumping on that though about Pedro Neto. Thanks for your question, Mark. By the way, just one comment on Pedro Neto. The one time he took on his fullback in that half, he beat him, and he got a ball across the face of goal with his right foot. If you beat the fullback once, Why aren't you doing it again? That's the hardest thing to do is beat your fullback the first time. Then you've got the psychological battle. You go on and you continue. Worst case scenario, you win a corner. The first time he took him on, he beat him. Didn't take him on again. Thank you for your question.
And Adama gets stick off fans, but the one thing Adama doesn't do is hide away. He'll get the ball. His first thought is, can I get the ball in? Neto was just turning back to the right back. Waste of time. That hasn't answered the question, but I'm fully with the guy's question. If it doesn't change drastically, I think we're relegated, yeah.
Another, this is part 2 from Mark Bromley, who's had a nice rant on the Wolves report. Thank you again, Mark. Poor recruitment, Large Davis given too long, lack of discipline, and JL still guessing his best 11 are all to blame. Discuss. Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I mean, I don't like saying relegation inevitable, and I disagree with your first comment, Mark. It's definitely a possibility, but not inevitable. However, I am along with the poor recruitment. Now, what I would say in defence of Davis, Wolves badly wanted Lopetegui, and they were prepared to wait for their man. Now, if Lopetegui gets Wolves to finish 17th and they stay up, then it was worth waiting for our man. That's how I would answer that. But yes, all those factors, poor recruitment, Bruno Lage probably got longer than he should have. I'm not sure. I think he was fortunate to get this season, to be honest. The lack of discipline in recent games, correct. And yes, I agree. Nocky?
Yeah, can't argue with any of that. I think we got it wrong from the get-go. It was always a risk waiting for Lopetegui. I understand why that gamble was there, because we started well and we got ourselves away from it. We were bottom of the league at Christmas, so he's been proving the right decision at this moment in time. But it's not just recent poor recruitment. It's been over a few years, hasn't it? I mean, you go back to the Jota sale, Doherty, the replacements that came in for those. We've predominantly got it wrong for the last 4 seasons in terms of recruitment. We've just managed to do enough to get away. We've had a decent spell inside the season to keep ourselves away from it, but it catches up with you. Absolutely.
And if you're offering me 17th now, I'm taking it off and I'm taking the season as success. If you're bottom on Christmas Day or Boxing Day, whatever it was, and you stay up, I'm absolutely having that. It's poor. I mean, it's where Wolves shouldn't be there, but they are. Mark, again, thanks for your comments. Richard Platt says, do we need to work on discipline? It concerns me the very audible, animated questioning of decisions is antagonising officials during games and future games. Tyler?
Yeah, I think so. I think they just need to focus on the job in hand. But it's difficult, isn't it? Because I think in any walk of life, if you feel you're being hard done by, you're going to question it, no matter what you do for a living or what you do day to day. And I think it's just the disbelief at the amount of obviously shocking decisions. And, the manager's just come out and questioned it. He hasn't gone bonkers in his interviews, has he? He hasn't really named anybody. He's just said the decisions aren't right and they need to be right. And I think that's fair. I do sometimes think we probably go a bit too far. I mean, I think someone said about Neves' yellow cards. I mean, he's always in the ref's ear, isn't he? And he picked, I'd love him. That's his job as captain, but I'd love them just to maybe, just focus a little bit more on the job in hand now and bring it in-house, bring that wolf pack mentality that we were talking about a couple of years ago. And, you've got to keep calm, haven't you? Because a silly red card like the Johnny one can cost you potential points, can't it? So, it's got to stop.
Nocky, got to curb it in. Siege mentality. Focus on ourselves, not focus on the sob story.
Yeah, some of the red cards have been unfortunate. I mean, Johnny's was a mistimed tackle. He's not a vicious player. He's one of them things. Lamina was a ridiculous red card, but it's more the ill discipline surrounding the referee, getting in his ear, the antics on the touchline. That's what's kind of hurting us at the moment, I think. And I agree. Just get back to it. But in saying that, we know that referees can be influenced by those kind of tactics. Man United were brilliant at it, so it happens everywhere, and it's not something you're going to shake out from the game. We just need to cut out the silly bookings. I mean, I think Neves is 1 booking away from a 2-game ban, I believe, and half of them bookings will have come because they had to go at the referee. So he needs to put that out of his game because he's not doing him or us any good at the minute.
Nocky, this is an absolute belter. This one's for you. I can feel the Mike, a regular contributor, shouting this last bit. We are barely good enough to survive and spend as much time praying other teams lose as much as we hope win. How has it come to this, Mark Knock?
As we said, poor recruitment, poor decisions, not dealing with the issues that were there, i.e. the striking position. maybe a little bit of an arrogance about us. I think when we signed Fabio Silva, we spent 35 million on a player that wasn't ready, and we could have spent that money a little bit better. We maybe tried to run before we could walk, and we've been caught out. So it's a culmination of bad decisions, poor recruitment. We've just got it wrong over the last few seasons, and we need a little bit of a reset. And the frustrating thing is, I think if we stay up this year, I think we'll have a good season next year. I think we'll have a really good season. It's just whether or not we can get through this period we're in now and get that rebuild in the summer, which I think will come. And I think there'll be a massive change in the summer, regardless of which league we're in.
Absolutely. And it all starts Saturday, including us three, in that away end. You know what? I'd love to see a win, but if you come away there without a defeat, remaining status quo, it's not ideal, but it keeps that team below us. So there we go. Thank you for your question, Mike. Mr. Moonlight asks, I tweeted a few weeks ago asking whether Gulen is a master tactician or a tinkerman. It's time for him to stop tinkering and simply start his strongest 11. What is his strongest 11, Chris Tyler?
You have to ask him that.
You don't know.
He does. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think aren't most successful teams built around a solid platform. We haven't seen Arsenal's team change this season. Man United's team doesn't change unless it has to. Man City are the only one that can genuinely do it because they're replacing.
They've got 22 very, very good footballers and 2 world-class footballers.
You look at most of the teams in the Premier League, you can probably pick their first 11, can't you? You can't with Wolves, and there's always a shock, and there's always, like I said, someone's been banished throughout the squad, and then the next week they're starting. There's just a severe lack of consistency there, isn't there? And I'd love to see a settled team. What that settled team is, I don't know. But the only thing I would say is that, as I said earlier, I think it's time for the new players. You know, they're the players he's bought ultimately. They're the players who's got to get him out of this, because I don't think Podence, Neto, Johnny, I don't see them guys doing it. We're going to have to rely on, I think, your Sarabias, your Kunas, to get us out the mess that we're in, I think.
Nocky, just off your top of your head then, forget about a formation. What would your best 11 be?
Sarr in goal, Ait Nouri, Semedo, Kilman, Dawson. If I could pick a formation, it'd be 4-2-3-1. So I'd go Nunes, Neves as the 2. Because I do think, when I've seen him in that position, I do like him. And I was talking about Lamina earlier, but I think he maybe gives us a little bit more if he gets a bit of a run. And then 3 would be Kuna, Adama. And in a 4-2-3-1, I might play Sarabia in behind him.
You've done it, son. I've drawn a really picture on this piece of paper.
Go on then, stick it to the camera, mate. Let's get it on there.
But you've literally picked. I wrote that down before the podcast, and you've just read it out, basically.
Teamwork making the dream work, boys. Look at this. It started off so bad, and look at us now. We're all holding hands, skipping down the garden again.
But we'll never see that team, so it don't matter, does it?
But it's a fair point, Ryan. It might not necessarily work, but we probably, most Wolves fans might pick, 9 out of them, 10 out of them maybe. But the manager does it every week, does he? So
no, it's
like Joe Gomez, isn't he? We've obviously signed him. He's got a load of potential, but he's throwing him in at home to Leeds. Really, the right thing to do? Is that a sensible decision?
No, I mean, I actually thought he played quite well, to be honest. He didn't do a lot wrong, did he? I mean, he's
got to impact the game. I'm not obviously critical. I think he's going to be a great player, but look at. I suppose we compare all our midfielders to Neves, and that's probably a bit unfair, but that's a midfielder that impacts a game of football. None of the others really do it. You could argue Lamina, Martino, none of them do like Neves. So then you probably got to then think, well, if Neves is going to do that, who's the best to accompany him? Who's the best to put there? And I'm with Knocker. I think if you're going for it, it probably is Nunes.
Just a quick,
he'll do what he needs to do.
Just a quick point on that then. Is it worth sacrificing Neves going higher up the pitch to have Neves as your pivot to allow Nunes to travel up with the ball when Wolves are in possession? Do Wolves look better when Neves tucks in and collects, and that allows Nunes to drive, Matthias to drive to open up the game?
Yeah, I think so. But then at the same time, I like Neves further forward because I think
You can't have both.
Yeah,
and that's probably why Nunes doesn't start.
If you're going to pick one to go forward, for me, it's going to have to be Nunes because he can't do the job at the back Neves can do. But I like Neves going forward. So I think that's maybe why Lamine gets a shout, because Lamine can sit back and do the dirty work. But there's nothing to say you have to. I mean, football's very fluid, isn't it? There's nothing to say you have to be rigid in that. One and then one back and then the other one can go. You can, football's about different situations and different opportunities. So it doesn't have to be rigid. It can still work with one of them sitting back. And obviously you've got to gauge your opposition, haven't you, where they're going to hurt you. Are they going to hurt you on the wings? They're going to hurt you through the middle, and that's where you have to make your adjustments. But what we've been guilty of this season is having Neves that deep that he's a third centre-half and he can't impact a game. And that's where we're losing midfield battles. We're getting overrun and we're getting caught out badly in the wide positions because we're dragging everything inside.
And is that why, do you think, then, have we answered our own questions then? Because Neves is doing that, and that's why we play three in the middle to make up for that?
Possibly, but if you go a 4-2-3-1, you don't particularly need anyone to advance from the midfield areas. You can hold further back because you've got those four in attack.
Well, not only that, you have one of your centre midfielders will go left or right to cover the supporting fullback. So you have your width from the fullback to double up left or right, and as Tyler calls them, you have your three butterflies in behind your centre forward. And for me, and you mentioned it earlier on, Tyler, the more positive Wolverhampton Wanderers approach a game with this set of players, the better they look, the better the results. Look at the performance against Liverpool. Yes, Liverpool were edgy and flaking a little bit, but Wolves absolutely pumped them in that first half. Front foot, high press, letting the talented players take. I mean, Kuna, Sarabia, again, big parts in that game as they were at Fulham.
Just to add that, and Knocker's right, you can almost pick your opposition based on your opponent. So Lamina was superb against Liverpool and Tottenham. They're better teams than us. So he's great in those games because pressure's off him. His job is to get the ball back and give it to someone. Now, against the Leeds and a Bournemouth at home,
right point.
He's not expected to go and win the ball back. He's probably going to have more of the ball. So then you've got to think, well, is he the right player to be in that?
That's a really good point. Really good point.
That's what you've got to look at. Forest, I'm sorry, is it Yates and that other donkey Shelby? If they've got them two in centre midfield, I think them two with the blindfold on should win that midfield battle. There's no arguments to not win it. They're the better players on the day. But if it's going to be a scrap and it's going to be horrible and it's going to be pacey, does it suit a Lamina? They're the decisions that the manager's got to make. And Lamina looks brilliant when he hasn't got the ball. But when you've got the ball at home against them teams, you need your playmakers, don't you? Yeah,
absolutely. Great point there, Tyler. I hadn't thought of it like that, but that's a really good point. A player that's suited to playing against, he's not as technical, but he's more suited to playing a superior opposition. Football's such a crazy game where players like that are more suited to that, but that's a great point, Tyler. Thank you. This was a point that created a little bit of debate earlier on. Chillo, I can't put the rest of it because it wasn't all clean. But Forest will be targeting this game just as much as us and have a decent home record. With a crowd behind them, they will feel like they can win this one. We need to stay in the game. Now, someone went on to talk about that as well. I couldn't get all the characters on, but someone replied, shouldn't we take the game to Forest? Because as you said then, in terms of our technical ability in our midfield, the middle area of the pitch is where Wolves should be winning that game. Wolves should dominate that midfield. It doesn't mean they dominate the rest of the pitch, but man for man, in the centre of the park, Wolves are the better side. Now, if that's the case, Nocky, shouldn't Wolves be taking the game to Forest? Thank you for your question, Cello.
We absolutely should be, but history tells us we probably won't. I mean, you only have to look at the Leeds game to know that we're probably going to sit back and look at what Forest do for the first 10, 15 minutes. So I think Forest will come at us like a train. I think they'll put us under pressure. They'll try and get that early goal to get the crowd lifted, to get everyone on side. So, yeah, I think man for man, Wolves are far superior to Forest. But it's whether we've got the cojones to really try and take the game to them. Personally, I don't think we will. I think the first 15 minutes are going to be really tricky for us.
Now we're sort of slipping into the Forest game nicely there with the use of Chillo's question. So we might as well talk about that game now. Obviously, we're all going on Saturday. Regardless of what you guys say, I'm really excited about it. I love watching Wolves, no matter how much the pressure's on. Sometimes it's not fun, is it, until you've scored and you've won or whatever. Tyler, are you coming up? If someone's saying now you can draw the game 0-0, are you taking that, or is this a must-win for Wolves?
God, don't get Twitter started on the must-win.
Don't do that to me.
With a certain you-know-who. I don't know. I think from the fixtures we've just talked about, they've got to be targeting 3 points, surely. You just said how bad we are, but this is a team that are below us in the league. So, man, I just don't see. The only thing Forest have got going for them is the atmosphere, and they'll be up for it. That's it. But that you can't do that for 90 minutes. So if you weather that first 10, 15, like Nocky said, and then you start to import your quality. I watched them against
Newcastle. We all watched that game.
Didn't get a kick. They scored from a breakaway. Newcastle's quality was far superior to theirs.
Newcastle could have had 4 or 5, Tyler.
Yeah, and that's how I think we've got to approach the game. We've got to go in there. I'm not saying we will, but we've just got to go in there with a bit of arrogance about us. Man for man, our players are better than theirs. Doesn't mean you win the football match. If we don't match that battle or that scrap, then I think we'll lose the game. But I don't think we'll take a draw. I think we've got to go there and win.
Nocky, you're going to come away home with a point now from offer it to you, or is this a game that Wolves must win?
Games are starting to run out, and it's not just the games are running out; the winnable games are starting to run out. And I think Chris is right. I think a win might come from a team we're not expecting it to. But if you're looking at it on paper,
Forest.
If you're looking at it on paper, this is one of the 4 that we can win in theory. So I think we have to be targeting 3 points. And I get your point about Newcastle came at them and had a right go and looked a much better team. But I've got to be honest, I thought Newcastle looked a much better team against us as well. So I don't think that's too much of a barometer to gauge it by. We're a better side. We've got to be going there trying to get 3 points. I just don't think we're in a position now where we can look in at the odd point here and there. We need to win games. A win, we're on 30 points. The world looks a better place, and I'm sure we'll all be on the podcast thinking that it's almost job done. But if we lose it, it's catastrophic. So
that podcast's going to be horrible. Now, listen, guys, I'm going to make this point. I'm going to make it really quickly and really clear. If Scotland can be 2-0 up against Spain, then Wolves can go and win at Forest. So we've got to believe it's football and anything's possible. What I would say, I think there's more pressure on Forest, considering their run of form, considering their fixture running. As I think, as Chilo mentioned, this is a game they'll be looking at to win. I think the pressure is on Forest more. I know that might sound ridiculous. This is a game they'll be thinking, we have to beat Wolves. Their running absolutely stinks. Their current form, they're an absolute stinker. For me, the pressure is on them to win. Would you agree or would you disagree, Tyler?
Not sure. I think it's on both teams. I genuinely do. I think it's toss of a coin who's feeling the pressure more. I get what you're saying. If we beat them, that's a hammer blow for them, isn't it? Like you said, again,
massive.
We move another, however many points clear of them, could be a big hammer blow. That could. But on the flip side, if they beat us, like Knocker said, we could well be back in the bottom 3 if teams win those games in hand. So it's just massive, isn't it? But Leeds was massive and Bournemouth was massive, and we know what happened there.
Absolutely. Almost getting to the end of the show. Currently listening to episode 57 of the Wolves Report with Chris, Tyler, Mark Knock, and myself, Ryan Lester. Just quickly then, we know he's not going to go 4-4-2. I think that's done and dusted. So give me your team based on a 4-3-3, Knocker.
I think the back 4 will obviously pick itself unless he leaves Ait-Nouri out for personal reasons again. I think he has to come in. So I think it'll be Ait-Nouri, Semedo.
Well, Bueno is back in full training, so there's a chance Bueno starts.
I don't see any way he starts him in that game after coming back from injury and all that. So I think it'll be Ait-Nouri. I think it'll be Semedo, Collins, Kilman. The 3, realistically, Neves. I think he'll play Lamina, and I've got a feeling he might play Moutinho as well. I'd like to see Nunes come in for Moutinho, but if you're asking me what I think he'll do, I think he might go for the experience on that one. And then I think it'll be Jimenez, Cunha, Hwang.
Interesting. Tyler, based on a 4-3-3, which feels almost inevitable, give me your starting 11 for Forest away.
You've killed me, Knock.
It's not what I want, that's what I think.
I'd go Neves, Nunes, Lamina, Kuna, Sarabia, Adama.
Oh yeah. The one thing I would say now, obviously Newcastle are a better team than Wolves. There's no question about that. But what was hurting Forest the most was the movement, that intricate play. The centre backs and defenders at Forest, they could not deal with the movement. For me, this is a game for the technical players, your 1-2s, your touches. This is a game for Sarabia to step up. There'll be an opportunity for him and Kuna, one-touch football. And we've seen with Raul, if you're getting close to him, look at the game against Spurs when he came on, the impact he had. When he's got a partner, we get them more like we saw at Fulham. So I think I'm probably going with, I'd like to see your team there, Tyler, but I do think you'll start Raul, and I think it'll be Kuna, Sarabia, Raul. I've got a stinky feeling that he might start Joe in the middle. He does love Joe, doesn't he? You're not expecting him to start, and he does, but we shall see. Either way, I don't mind. You have been listening to episode 57 of the Wolves Report. We're at the end of the show now. Thank you for your contributions, your tweets, your insults, and your questions for the show. It's prediction time, and we're going to start off with the king of optimism himself, Mr. Chris Tyler. Hopefully, Chris is coming with us on Saturday. Hopefully he's in a happy mood on the way back as well. Your prediction for Forest v Wolves, Tyler?
Forest 2-0.
Me. Nocky.
I hate to say it, but he's pinched my prediction. I think 2-0 Forest, Brennan Johnson.
Wow. Well, there's absolutely no way I'm having that in the slightest. My pundits are broken. Hopefully they'll be re-energised after the weekend. I'm going to go with a Forest 1, Wolves 3. And I'm going to go with... You're laughing at me. You won't be laughing when it's come true. We're going to get one right eventually. So I'm going to go with a Forest 1, Wolves 3. You have been listening and watching to episode 57 of the Wolves Report. Thank you to Chris Tyler. Thank you to Mark Knott. And I've been your host, Ryan Lester. Almost pressed the out of tune thing then, but I missed the button, so I've got to start again. Up the Wolves.